afternoon. I'm Shawn Yao, and this is One News Now. Malacanang is challenging critics to file charges if they really believe that President Duterte violated the Constitution. This comes after the chief executive dismissed the 2016 arbitration award as just a piece of paper fit to be thrown into the trash can. For the details, Maricel Halili joins us live from Mandaluyong City. Hi, Mase. Good afternoon. How did the palace spokesman explain the recent pronouncements of the president, especially now that people are actually recalling his speech given to the United Nations?
Yeah, Sean. Actually, presidential spokesperson Harry Roque clarified that the statement of the president last night, referring to the arbitral ruling, that it's just a piece of paper, is based on the perspective of the Chinese government. Well, Secretary Roque said that if we based the context of the statement of President Duterte last night on his UN speech or his statement before the United Nations, it is clear that the position of the president is still the same, that we will still continue fighting for our territory, and at the same time we will continue talking with the Chinese government and push for the other issues that we can work on together, like trade and economy.
Now, the president has been trading barbs with critics, particularly retired Associate Justice Antonio Carpio. Where will this lead to, or should we expect more back and forths between the two? Will there be a public debate, perhaps?
We actually asked that to presidential spokesperson Harry Roque during his press briefing earlier. And Secretary Roque said that as of the moment, we can see that President Duterte is already debating with former Justice Antonio Carpio in public, because they continue to argue about the issue in the West Philippine Sea. So as to the formal debate, there is no plan yet. But as to the public debate, it seems that the President is already referring to their argument that we can see in news right now.
Right. Now, did spokesman Harry Roque also clarify the president's order to arrest those who are not wearing face masks when out in public? Has there been clearer guidelines on this?
Sean, Secretary Roque said that most of the local government units, particularly here at the NCR Plus, already issued ordinances on the imposition of minimum health standard, particularly wearing of face masks and face shields. And so when it comes to the basis of the arrest, there is a basis for the arrest of those who will violate this particular protocols. Secretary Roque said that should the members of the Philippine National Police see that an individual is not following the protocol about the wearing of face mask and face shield, they can easily arrest them. And within 12 hours, they have to file charges against these individuals. And penalty will follow.
Okay, moving on to another issue, this one about the president's vaccination with Sinopharm. Which vaccine brand will be used for the president's second dose? Because he ordered Sinopharm to withdraw donations, would he still be using Sinopharm's jab?
That's right, Sean. We also asked Secretary Roque about that, and he said that President Duterte will still be using Sinopharm for his second dose. They will leave a dose for President Duterte, and the rest will be returned to the Chinese government. We also asked FDA Director General Undersecretary Eric Domingo about that. He said that as of the moment, the Department of Health is already conducting studies about the possibility of using another brand for second dose, because there may be instances that some individuals who already got their first shot may have experienced allergies. So in situation like this, they will consider using other brand for the second dose.
Right. Again, back to Sinopharm. Local experts have said we don't have enough data yet on the Sinopharm deal. There's also, I guess, no submissions yet made for EUA. So is there any update on the plans regarding that?
For For now, Sean, Yusek Domingo said that there are already 3 companies who have already expressed interest in filing emergency use authorization for Sinopharm. But since these 3 firms have yet to submit documents before the FDA, the process hasn't started yet. They still have to evaluate once all documents are submitted.
All right, and on that phone call of Duterte with the Saudi Arabian Crown Prince, did the palace spokesman elaborate about what they possibly talked about?
Yes, the 2 heads of state talked about the kafala system. As we all know, this particular system is a huge problem, particularly for migrant workers like our Filipino workers in the Middle East. And so this is one of the discussions or the issues that were discussed during the phone call of the 2 leaders last night, because they have to make sure, or the president has to make sure, that our overseas Filipino workers are protected in Saudi.
All right, thank you so much for all those updates across different topics. Maricel Halili reporting to us live from Mandaluyong City. In other news, former Supreme Court Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio expressed his displeasure over the president's rejection of the Hague ruling. In an interview with One News's Agenda, Carpio said that the president's wastebasket remark is exactly what China wants to hear. The retired Supreme Court Justice said that Duterte is practically giving away our territory by describing the arbitral award as just a piece of paper in his televised address to the nation.
That statement will be a cause for a big celebration in Beijing. They will be jumping with joy like chimpanzees, because that's what they want to hear from President Duterte. He's practically saying, give it to China. Because the award rejected the claim of China and approved our claim.
Carpio also warned that Duterte's rejection of the 2016 Hague ruling could be binding under international law.
If it is accepted by the other state, when a statement involves a dispute between another state, that is binding on us.
And here are other stories we're keeping our eyes on. The Defense Department has backed the president's latest pronouncement on our arbitral victory against China. Spokesman Arsenio Andalong pointed out that the lack of an international law body that can enforce the Permanent Court of Arbitration ruling. Despite this, Andalong said that the government will continue to defend what is rightfully ours. 73 Filipinos in India have tested positive for COVID-19. The Foreign Affairs Department says they are now considering the repatriation of some Filipinos in the South Asian country. And the Health Department has clarified that only 5 arrivals from India were found positive for COVID-19. Citing the Bureau of Quarantine, Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergeire said they are part of the 149 passengers with a travel history to India and had arrived in the Philippines between April 1 to 30. We're going to pause for a quick break, but we will be back with more stories after that. Stay with us. still watching One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. All right, let's move on to the weather. It's been hot for a few weeks now, but Filipinos have to endure the scorching heat until the end of the month, according to the State Weather Bureau. JC Cosico joins us live from Manila for the update on the weather. JC, what do you have for us?
Sean, the State Weather Bureau said that the heat brought by the dry season may last until the month end, where doctors advising the public to keep themselves hydrated to avoid heat stroke. Among the areas with high heat index were Dagupan City in Pangasinan at 46 degrees Celsius, while El Salvador in Misamis Oriental and Sangli Point in Cavite both tallied 45 degrees Celsius. Here in Metro Manila, 41 degrees was recorded in Naiya and 39 degrees at the Science Garden in Quezon City. Apart from hydration, doctors are advising the public to avoid leaving the house between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. where the heat is at its peak. Pag-asa said the country will begin its transition to the wet season by the last week of May. Meanwhile, the Environment Department is discouraging the public from swimming in Manila Bay, Basayco Beach, and Pasig River due to high coliform content. The agency is in talks with other concerned offices to guard these areas. Sean, doctors said swimming in these bodies of waters may result in skin infections and other diseases. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much for that update. Stay safe out there. JC Cosico of News 5 reporting to us live from Manila. People living in cities are now thinking more about moving to more affordable and less stressful environments. Let's take a look at how the pandemic reshaped real estate in this video from Bloomberg.
So it's really quite interesting at the moment, actually. We're seeing the same sort of trends play out in global cities, whether you're talking here, New York, London, Sydney, where I'm sitting right now. The picture is actually remarkably similar. Record low interest rates everywhere means that we're actually seeing house prices really hold up, which is highly unusual when you get a global recession, because clearly you'd normally see them fall. Apartments, maybe there's less competition to buy than there used to be, but we have seen prices for apartments plummet. Instead, what's been happening is, cheap money and, government forbearance promises mean there haven't been any distressed sales. And what the real action, though, is out in the suburbs. We're seeing bidding wars erupt in leafy areas with more space, as people are betting that maybe they don't actually need to be in the office full-time ever again. I think there's two things going on here. The first thing is the people who rent are more likely to have less money. So, the big job losses we've seen, in everything from hospitality to everything else, has obviously depressed rents at all levels of the market. And, that does filter through. And equally, people who are renting more mobile, they're making a bet on where they're going to live for the next 6 months. So, you're more likely if you're renting to think that actually, for the next 6 months here, maybe I'm going to go further out, maybe I'm going to move. And if things get back to normal, whatever normal might look like, I can always come back to the city. Whereas if you're buying a property, this is your bet for at least a few years. So people tend to be looking at that with, more of a longer term attitude.
For more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News Live anytime, anywhere. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I'm Sean Yao. We are One News.